Godzilla and Kong fans, we're absolutely blessed today because we got our first teaser trailer and title reveal for Godzilla Vs Kong 3. In times like this, man, I just get so happy I want to start clapping. Yeah, I'd like to see 100 men try to take on this gorilla. Ain't getting past me, buddy boy. So that's exactly what I'll be doing here for you, is breaking down this 40-second teaser trailer for Godzilla and Kong, what the new title could mean for the movie, speculating on the big villain, some of the major changes that are happening in this film compared to the last one, everything and anything. We're just excited to be getting another Godzilla and Kong movie. Yeah! Be sure to leave me your thoughts and theories down below to what you think it all meant. But alright, getting into it here, out of nowhere today, Warner Brothers decided to drop a little teaser trailer that reveals the title for Godzilla and Kong. It begins with the offices of Monarch, and we are going to see a bunch of little hidden details in this trailer, but kind of just getting to the title reveal, we zoom in on a computer screen that gives off a warning that a new titan is emerging, showing off the title Godzilla X Kong Supernova. Oh, that's a pretty sick title, okay? Was not one of the 100 titles I had in mind for this movie, but I'm totally fine with it. If anything, I am actually kind of surprised by the look, style, and naming of this title, because I think it really points us into the direction of what to expect for this third Godzilla and Kong movie. And so this is where I'm going to begin some of my theorizing and speculating. To me, the look and title of this lets me know that we are going to continue this exaggerated, fun, blockbuster feel that was really present in Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. What I mean by that is that was a movie that decided to kind of drop a lot of the grounded, serious tone of the universe. I mean, we had freaking Kong put on an infinity gauntlet, Godzilla got an awesome pink rose transformation, we had a cult of apes that were enslaved under the earth, and even a titan that breathed ice. This was a change that some monster fans weren't all that happy with because it felt a little too cartoony, very silly for the universe. I myself found it to be really fun. And so whenever it was announced that Godzilla X Kong was happening again, but without director Adam Wingard, who directed the last two movies, and was replaced with Grant Spator, who has a limited resume but has shown pretty serious movies, people thought that meant we are going back to kind of the serious tone we got in the first Godzilla movie. But I don't know, looking at this logo with how colorful, vibrant, and it almost looks like it belongs on the packaging of some sort of toy, this tells me they are going back and leaning into that direction. And if you weren't happy, I'm sorry. Get ready to see Kong not just have a battle gauntlet, boy's gonna have a full-on Iron Man suit in this movie. The next thing I think that is really implied from this title, Supernova, well, that just implies a space theme. The logo even looks like it takes place in space. And you know, franchises going off to space is that jump of the shark moment. Even Fast and Furious had a space moment. But I think for the Monsterverse, it feels appropriate. There's a lot of villains in the Godzilla gallery that are of alien descent. So having a Godzilla movie that maybe focuses more on something that comes from the cosmos, I don't think is that weird. Which now brings us to speculating who is the big bad. You know, we had an original villain in the last movie, and on that note, the last movie did put out a little teaser trailer like this to reveal the title, which I will say I think the last film had a much better little title reveal just because it gave us a hint of the villain, while this one is just a look at an office. But since they did the original villain route in the last movie, I feel like they're gonna go back of modernizing an old Godzilla villain from the lineup. So having Supernova be the name, thinking space is the theme, well, the first one a lot of us think about then is Space Godzilla. This is a foe that I think a lot of Godzilla fans have wanted to see on the big screen redone. The origin of this titan is that DNA of Godzilla gets shot out into space, and through a bunch of weird cosmic stuff, black holes, G-cells, and magical crystals, another Godzilla is formed that then comes back to Earth for destruction. Honestly, he has a really sick design, and even just the name itself, Space Godzilla, like, that's a freaking cool name. I would love to see a modern interpretation of this character, but I mean, that's not the only alien-themed villain in the lineup. There's plenty to go through. A lot of people are making the connection that maybe Gigan will be the main villain of this movie. The main clue for this is if you look at the logo and really look at the R, people are saying that the way the light is escaping the little circle in the R is very reminiscent to the eyes of Gigan. Now again, as a rough summary for Gigan, he's essentially a space dinosaur that was then kind of experimented and turned cyborg by an alien race. I think that is such a sick, crazy origin that you could just be a dinosaur, but then get a bunch of enhancements that then turn you into a cyborg. I really would not mind it, but if you introduce Gigan, then you also have to introduce an alien space race responsible for building him, because unlike Space Godzilla, who just kind of creates himself from mere cells in space, somebody had to make Gigan, and it would just be kind of wild to make that leap that maybe we have an alien invasion and this is the way they want to wipe us off the Earth. I don't think would be such a huge leap. But then there's some people that think maybe it's not a space theme and Supernova more just implies the power this new Titan has and the threat it could pose on Earth, making it someone like Destroyer, who could maybe have supernova abilities similar that Godzilla has presented in previous movies. I wouldn't mind that. Destroyer, I think, is always at the top of the list of what people want to see. But if we move away from the speculation and title, let's look at the actual footage in this teaser trailer, because there are some interesting details that are let known. So yes, we are in the offices of Monarch, but do not think this is one of the most important sectors. This seems to be the hotline section of Monarch, where anybody on Earth can call in about a tip about a possible Titan sighting. A phone number even pops up, 240 Monarch, and it's pretty cool because it's a real phone number you can call, listen in on, and actually report any weird Titan activity you might be seeing. Sadly, I didn't have anything to report on. What the heck? But now, kind of knowing this is the context of this office, if we look at the two TV screens up on the wall, it does give us an update to something that happened in the last movie. We have one newscaster who is talking about Rio in Brazil is finally finishing up being rebuilt after the destruction that happened there in the last film. But even more interesting, right next to that, there is an image of these man-made pyramids. Godzilla and Kong did have a little fight at the Egyptian pyramids, and this image kind of makes it seem like they just decided to rebuild those pyramids, taking away a piece of history. That would be wild. People have even implied that the tips of these pyramids really resemble the tips of Space Godzilla, so maybe there will be a connection with them destroying the pyramids and something there, but it's just world building, I think. Now, zooming in on this specific desk, there are a lot of interesting things. You have a little Godzilla toy. There's some photos in the back, one that reveals our first look to Sam Neill's character. This lets me know that Sam Neill is probably going to end up playing the father of another character within the cast. These are the only confirmed faces we have so far, so I'm assuming this might end up being Caitlin Dever's desk, and she is the daughter of Sam Neill. Some people are theorizing that Sam Neill will probably play like an ex-Monarch scientist or somebody who worked for the company and just got his daughter a low-level position at Monarch that'll end up being bigger because she'll probably get the call that leads us to the next big threat in this movie. It's even crazy the attention to detail though that they put in this little teaser, because you do have a chat box here that some people have enhanced where you can actually read the text, and yeah, it's just general call center stuff where coworkers are talking to one another, talking about how boring it is to work in this section of Monarch because they just get a bunch of bogus calls of people claiming they saw Titan, but it leads to nothing. We do see that the current call she is on that made her leave her desk to warn somebody is coming from Sedona, Arizona. What I think is even crazier is if you see the binary code on the screen, you can actually decipher that. Now, don't do the idiot thing I did. Since I obviously don't know how to read binary, I was thinking to myself, how do I translate that? So I uploaded the photo to ChatGPT and it read Godzilla Kong. Oh, Godzilla Kong is coming! But then someone a lot smarter than me just went to a binary website, copy and pasted the code, and it actually ends up reading Godzilla Kong Watch This Space, which just is more of a promotional tie-in thing for those of us fans who want to try to decipher some code. But it's little things like that that makes us really curious about what's gonna go down in this movie, because I am thinking if they are continuing with the exaggerated blockbuster theme, then I think the final fight, we have a real chance of it being on the moon. I'm not kidding. I'm sure the humans are tired of these titans coming into their city, throwing down their buildings, accidentally killing tons of people. I for sure think Trapper's character is going to be getting some sort of jet jaguar suit, a man-made thing to kind of keep in line the titans or help with the fight. And we really will get some sort of Iron Man Kong suit that'll help him breathe and fight in space on the moon alongside Godzilla with whatever villain we end up getting. And I mean, just thinking about that, titans fighting on the moon, causing as much destruction as they want. I think that's what I'd like to see. But the last kind of important thing Godzilla fans are really fixated on is at the end of this teaser trailer, you only hear one titan roar. That appears to be the roar of Godzilla. Again, it could end up being the villain's roar, but a lot of fans have taken this to mean what we have been hearing about with Godzilla X Kong 3 is that this one will actually focus a lot more on Godzilla over Kong. Now, you know me, I remain Team Kong, and I always will be Team Kong, but I understand Godzilla fans do get done pretty dirty in these movies, and Kong gets a lot more screen time. After 2 movies where Kong got to shine, I think I'm okay with letting Godzilla take the spotlight a little bit. I'm sure we're still going to get plenty of Kong, and he does have a son now technically, so we'll get some development there, but I'm curious how they'll give Godzilla, you know, more to do. But this is now where I throw it off to you guys. You see this little teaser trailer, you hear the title for the 3rd Godzilla and Kong movie. What do you want to happen? Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris,